And good evening, everyone. I just want to thank everyone for joining us. And we are back online tonight. And it was just the perfect time to bring in Collegiate Twirlers. And we've got 3 of the premier spots in the country. And I'm just really thankful that they were able to join us tonight. And it's talking about the pandemic and the change in games and the change in just everything for collegiate twirlers and collegiate students especially. So I want to welcome from Oklahoma, Emily Perkins.
Hi.
And you've been the feature twirler there now for, is this your 4th year?
This is my 4th.
And go ahead, and if I can invite everyone to mute themselves, then it works out really well, except for the panelists. Amanda Coy is the Golden Girl at Purdue University. Welcome, Amanda. What year are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm a junior at Purdue.
And also the Golden Girl from Iowa, and that is Kylene Spanbauer. What year are you, Kylene?
Hi, everybody. I'm a senior, but I'll be sticking around for a 5th year next year.
5th years, or that's your victory lap. That's your victory lap. So yeah. And you know what? My students at my university have said this. They're like, we're not finishing like this. Like, I'm coming back for a 5th year because I want it to be what I'm used to. So let's go ahead and talk about, because all 3 of of course, follow you all on social media, and it looks as if your experiences have all been very different. So Emily, tell us about that. You have been able to twirl at games. So is that a conference thing? How has that worked that you've been able to do that?
Well, the band has to have 25% capacity, and I get to go to every game as the twirler, and so does the drum major, of course. And I have been really lucky to have a spot in the front, and they took out some of the seating so that I could twirl. And that has been very nice. I've been very lucky to be able to actually twirl at a game, but I don't get to go on the field. So it's a little bit different, but I'm still really happy that I get to be there.
So when we see you on the field, are you recording with the band on a separate night?
Yes, we record on Thursday nights, and then that gets played at the game.
And is it the entire band that gets to do that?
Yes, the whole band gets to record.
Oh, that's what. So are you rehearsing together?
Yes.
Okay, and sorry, I'm going to go into this with all of you. How many days a week are you recording? Or are you rehearsing?
We rehearse 3 days a week, usually, and if it's not a game week, 3 or 4.
Okay.
Sometimes 3 on not a game week and 4 on a game week. And then the full band rehearses together at our practice area. And was there more to the question? Or
okay, no, I'm just trying to figure out processes because it feels really different amongst everyone. So Amanda, tell me about, are you able to be at a game?
So unfortunately, we're not allowed to attend the games. Right now, they're allowing all of the football players to have 2 or 3 guests. So those are the members that are attending the football games. And then they're playing our recorded halftime shows on the big screen and on social media during when we would have been performing during halftime.
And you are divided up into platoons, as I understand it. And then the twirlers are at every platoon rehearsal, right?
Kind of. So we're in 3 different platoons, A, B, and C. And then in the first half of the season, it was really difficult. The feature twirlers being every platoon, it was super busy and a lot to learn and pick up. And so the team, the All-American twirling team, they would be on just platoon B, and the features would be on A, B, and C, plus other solo performances. And then more recently, to sort of give us a break with exams and everything, we've been splitting up like every other week, depending like what platoon we're on. So this week with the girl in black, I'm on platoon A, and then the Silver Twins and Alicia are on platoon C. So we get to have more time to practice individual routines.
Okay. All right. And so thank you. Kylene, what's happening with your games? Is the band allowed at the game at all?
Yeah, so we're kind of in the same boat as Amanda is because we share the same conference, the Big Ten. The Big Ten isn't allowing any kind of like band members, spirit squad, dance team members in the stadium. And so we don't get to attend the games. but we have been doing a lot of virtual halftime performances. And so I'll just kind of like explain the whole thing. So we have also split ourselves off into sections. We have pep band I, O, W, and A. So there's 4 different pep bands. And then we split our drumline in half. So we have drumline black and drumline gold, very festive. And so we rehearse on different days. So I and O rehearse Tuesday and Thursday, and W and A rehearse Wednesday and Friday. And then the drum major, myself, and our work crew, which is kind of like our behind the scenes, like tech people, they come every single rehearsal. But we record our half times, and just kind of, we've been doing our pre-games and other band traditions that we do on game day. We've been recording them and releasing them on Facebook. So that's kind of what we've been doing with this weird year.
Okay, well, I think it's in our nature to be positive and to be excited about anything that can happen. So, Emily, what's one of the biggest adjustments? What has been the hardest thing from a mental attitude standpoint of what you've adjusted to?
Well, I think the hardest thing from all of this is that we don't get to do pregame, which is my favorite part of game day, just because it's so much fun. But so hopefully I'll get to do that next year. But it's also been not difficult, but interesting adjusting to twirling in the stands and seeing how much I can do whenever I'm in a limited space. So things like that.
Well, that ring leap was absolutely gorgeous. So that's working for you. Okay. So Amanda, what has been, has there been a sense of disappointment? What have you had to really write your attitude about the most to make it the best opportunity possible?
For me, I've just had to keep reminding myself that I'm so fortunate and thankful to have the opportunity to even be attending in person and to be with my band, because I know not all the twirlers that are collegiate twirlers have had that opportunity. So I'm super thankful just to be able to see everyone and have social interaction and be able to perform. But it's been kind of sad, especially my first year as Golden Girl, to not be able to twirl on the field. But I guess sort of an advantage to that is it's given me more time for personal growth and to further continue my twirling skills. So like something of mine I wasn't my strongest at was gymnastics. And so because we've been doing multiple recordings, so we get 1 or 2 or 3 shots per recording, I'm more likely, and I have been pushing myself on harder tricks because I know I get multiple shots at it. So I've been trying to incorporate and teach myself more gymnastics and push myself as a twirler.
Oh my gosh, I think that that's really true, because I know I'm seeing it at my university, and that I have a freshman twirler that I feel needed the time. And when I'm watching what's happening right now and just doing things in rehearsal, it's certainly, giving the time, though the performance standpoint also throws you into that atmosphere. So Kylene, what's been your biggest adjustment from trying to just suck it up and be a great ambassador regardless of the circumstances?
Yeah, so I think one of the most difficult things for me is having to lessen my interaction with the band a little bit. I've been trying to kind of give everybody their space and respect personal boundaries. Some people were kind of nervous to start rehearsing together again, so I've been trying to keep my distance from the sections, which is a little tough on me because we don't have like a color guard or any other twirlers here. It's just me and the drum major, and while we're very close, we also get very close with the sections and get to meet a lot of the new members that way. And we really haven't gotten to do that this year, but we're finding different ways to work around it. We have a lot of Zoom meetings throughout the week where like the sections will get together over Zoom and they'll just kind of catch up with each other, because not everybody gets to see each other every single day when we're split into different pep bands. And they'll invite Michael, the drum major, and I into them. So we'll get to talk with everybody, get to know each other, which we kind of miss out a little bit at band. And because we haven't really had game days to take up a lot of time, I've been focusing on academics and really trying to get a lot of volunteer hours in for my major. I have to have 400 volunteer hours when I graduate. So I've been trying to get all of those in and get a lot of experience in the academic field I'm pursuing. So.
Well, and that's one thing we always remind our band students, that you're not getting a degree in marching band. So you're not getting a degree in feature twirler. And then, so when you go, okay, the pluses and minuses, that is one thing that you can focus on. So So tell me about the social aspect of it, because band is just such a family. And that's what, when everyone comes back year after year, and when the alumni are talking about it, they're not talking about the notes they hit. They're not talking about the fabulous tricks they did. They're talking about the sense of family, and that's the connection. Emily, how is Oklahoma creating and keeping a sense of family amongst the band?
Well, we've definitely had a lot of online events and Zoom get-togethers for different sections, and we have sometimes, like maybe every other week, the color guard does its own section bonding time, and we play Among Us and we do other things like that. And the same thing goes for KSI and TBS. They have events like that. I'm not in those, but I've seen that they do a lot of section bonding, things like that. And it's been pretty difficult this year for me because I think a lot of my friends, my closer friends, graduated last year, and I was planning on using this year to connect to more people and go talk to more sections than just the color guard. But I got kind of nervous to do that because of COVID, and it was a little bit more difficult to reach out to people because you can't really hang out anymore.
Okay, that's understandable. And I know that I'm seeing that struggle. I'm seeing it within the own things that I teach, because there's been usually so many things that we as adult instructors are not part of. There's, things that we don't have to drive. And yet I'm not seeing the students be able to do that. So Amanda, tell me socially, what is the Purdue band doing to stay connected, and how do you feel integrated in that?
So it's been really hard, and at the beginning of the year, it was more difficult. Something that the Purdue band does every day on our way down to practice is we march. There's like basically a parade twice a day through Purdue's campus as we go from the band building to our practice field. And so we do all these crazy traditions and marching routines and silly dance moves, and that really just hypes up everyone in the band, and it's so fun to be a part of it. And I think that's something we really missed. And so recently, after we talked about this with the band directors, they allowed us to start coming up and learning the new cadences and reviewing them with the freshmen. So after each rehearsal now, we split up into our sections in little circles all over the practice field, and the drum line plays the cadences, and we all dance in our little pods around the field, which has been super fun. But other than that, it's just going out and meeting people in small groups that allow for social distancing. And I can't interact with as many people as I would have liked to in years past, but it's still been nice just to get to know my own section, the twirling section, better.
Yes. And so Kylene, tell me socially, what are traditions you miss amongst the Iowa band?
Yeah, so kind of how Amanda said, we have a lot of traditions that we've not fully missed out on this year, but we've had to kind of rework and think differently. Our alma mater, for example, is really special to us, and we always sing that with the freshmen on the first, or after the first day of band camp. Their first day is done. The entire band comes and surprises them. We all sing the alma mater together, and we had to kind of rework that and do that a little differently this year. We've been able to teach it in our pep bands and kind of sing it that way, but it is a little different. And we do what we call the series. We do them on Thursdays after rehearsal. And since not everybody rehearses on Thursdays, we've had to push things around. So different sections do different things on different days. And I don't know, it's been actually kind of fun. People have been creating new traditions in that sense, where sections will do different things on different days than they usually would do before. And I don't know, we're just trying to work around it. Like I mentioned before, we have a lot of meetings throughout the week that people can join in and just talk about how their week is going and get to know each other better. Emily mentioned Among Us, which is like a game online that everybody can play. And if you have like a code, you can all play together. And we've been doing a lot of that too. So we're trying to make the most of it this year, and I don't know, find new ways and find new traditions to really get to know each other.
Well, I think that one of the biggest credits to your generation is the ability to adapt and make the best of it, because I've watched my students, and it took me quite a few weeks to not leave rehearsal sad. That we were at rehearsal, we were getting things done, we were making the best of it. And I still left a little sad, because I'm watching everyone like, we've got this, like, okay, we're figuring this out. And it's like testimony to a band kid's spirit and to the adaptability of whatever is happening. And for us being so grateful that whatever is happening is happening. And I think being band kids that are never shown at halftime and are always the undersung heroes of the game is a testimony kind of to like just the mindset of like, we're going to do us. No matter what's going on, we're doing us. So there's a couple things. So I've looked at our own situation and I'm afraid that it's going to take 4 years for us to recover. That our seniors coming to us didn't have the end of a senior year and they're not getting a normal experience of what band is all about. And then our seniors that are leaving will be gone. And then the kids that are rising, it's just tough that everyone's coming at it with a different skill set. So what would be your advice to anyone, regardless of twirling spot? So they're coming into your band and you want to maintain the spirit, the history, the traditions. Again, one of the things I think we're losing is institutional memory. So all of you have talked about a thing specific to your own band, which is part of institutional memory and part of one of those like, you don't know what you don't know when you're coming in, and then you figure it out and you really embrace it. So Emily, how would you encourage anyone that's going to be looking at a collegiate position with the hope of what will be? Like, what is lying out there for them, even if things don't change by fall next year?
That's a hard question, but I think that even if things aren't the same, you can still look forward to meeting new people and having some sort of bonding experience with a band family in college and things like that, and different whatever organization you go into. And I don't know, still getting to twirl and still getting to do what your job is, whether it be playing an instrument or twirling or color guard. I think that you're still getting to do that a little bit and you're still getting some sort of opportunity. So as long as that's there, I think it's going to be okay, even if it's a little different. I'm not really sure if I answered the question.
Oh, absolutely. I think that we need to hear that. We need to hear that. Amanda, what are you thinking? What are you thinking about the twirlers that are looking at college and coming in and not knowing what's lying ahead?
Well, I'm really fortunate that Purdue has other twirlers and we have such a large twirling family because when you come in as a freshman, you're not alone and you have seniors and juniors and sophomores to look up to and show you the ropes. And because we have so many juniors and sophomores remaining to welcome in new classes, we can still share those traditions and memories with them. And Purdue bands are doing a really good job of trying to preserve that. And I think in a week we have a big Zoom night or whatever, and we're going through all of the history of Purdue bands that we go through every year to try and retain that memory and tradition that we uphold. And I think it's just super important to come in with an open mind and know that we're going to do your best to perform and make it the best season and opportunities we can. And you'll grow in different ways depending on how the season goes. But just have an open mind and come in super positive. There's people that care about you, want to meet you, and make this the best possible season for you.
Well, I think that we look and go like our bar of expectation right now is like here. So it's like whatever can happen beyond this is going to be amazing. So Kylene, what you said really resonated with me because there became a point that I looked and I posted something about like normally at this point in time, our freshmen would have sung the alma mater, 100 times because it's just a tradition of what you do and you link arms and this is what you do. And our senior staff, which is our student leadership, no one had sung the alma mater. And I just had this moment where I looked at our freshmen one day and it was garden twirlers. I'm like, do you even know what the importance of apples are? And, in Bronco band, it's like at third quarter, everyone gets their apple and nobody eats it. And you wait until like, this is my apple. There are many like it, but this one is mine. And then everyone bites it, but they're not getting that. So Kylene, you're the only twirler. It appears your relationship is closest with your drum major. What do you say about the freshmen aspiring to come in that's been the positive takeaway from this year?
Yeah, I mean, we've missed out on a lot of game day traditions and experiences, and I think that is something that like we as a band talked, I mean, at least our leadership team, we talked about how they're going to miss out on so much and they don't even know, and they've missed out on so much already with their senior year. Like, what are we going to do for them? You know, usually when you come in as a freshman, you have like a defining moment where it just hits you like, wow, like I've worked for this moment is amazing. It's all paying off. And you just like, you realize how like close you are with your band family and your band friends. And it just, I don't know, there's just like this moment, I don't even know how to describe it, that just hits you. And it's usually during freshman year, usually at a game. And so we were like, how else can we create these moments? You know, how else can we pass on these traditions? And so that's why we've been trying to work around, you know, singing our alma mater, still teaching it to the pep bands and sections, and, you know, saying, you know, one day soon, hopefully next year, but we'll get to sing this all together, and trying to encourage them that way. And I've mentioned these a couple times already, but our Zoom meetings that we have, you know, we'll have the seniors talk about bowl trip moments, anything funny that's happened, what our incoming freshmen this year and then next year too can expect, like during game days, and just anything we can to hype them up and get them excited, because, you know, if they stick with it at some point, hopefully we will be back on the field either next year or the year after, and really trying to make those memories and have those defining moments for them. So we've been just trying to work around it a lot and still create a great experience for them, because they've had so much taken away from their senior year already.
Well, I'm really excited to hear that all three of you are coming back next year. And there's this moment that I think that there's this one thing, this sense of martyrdom. You know, when you've unloaded the trucks at 5 a.m. and the weather is awful, and you've stood through the game the entire time, and then they lost. And, you know, there's just that sense of like, yeah, we did it. It's like at the end of band camp. And so, if anything, it's kind of that sense of like, we have gone through this, we have been hot in the sun, we have frozen in the snow, and but maybe this is the martyrdom moment. Maybe this year is like, we made it through it. We made it through it, and we're going to be fine. So, Emily, if everything was back to normal tomorrow, tell me the very first thing you would be so excited about on a game day.
Oh my gosh, of course it would be pre-game because I miss it so much. I know I already talked about that a little
No,
bit.
that's okay. You can't talk about it enough.
I think it's one of the most exciting things that I've ever done, because I still remember my first pregame and just going out onto the field and looking around and being like, oh my God, this is why I'm here. And I probably started shaking because that's what I do when I twirl. But it was exhilarating and amazing, and I just wish that I could have that experience at least one more time.
Yep. Well, it's our fingers are going to be crossed for all of that. Amanda, if you could go to a game tomorrow, what's the thing you want the most?
Oh my gosh. No. Okay. I love when the band marches down into the stadium and we do all of our fun cheers. And I, this year as the Golden Girl, would be able to lead the band. And so being able to lead the band for the first time with all of our cheers, singing and dancing into the stadium and going on for pregame, I have like handshakes with every different section right before we go on. And the whole vibe after is so much fun. I like can't even describe how awesome it is. And then to hear my name be called out as the Golden Girl would be the coolest thing ever.
Yep. And so, Kylene, tell me about your moment. What's the thing if you could be out there tomorrow, what would it be?
Well, so I have a moment for me, but I also have a moment for the band. So the band itself, the wave that we do after the first quarter of each home game, all 70,000 fans in the stadium turn towards the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital, which is right across the street from our stadium. And we all wave to the kids that are up on the 12th floor. So that moment for the band is huge, because I don't know, you just get chills and you get all these feels from doing it. And I know that everybody says it's one of their favorite memories, but for me personally, it would be going up actually to the 12th floor of the Children's Hospital during the third quarter. So that's just something that the drum major and I get to do. We get to go up there and play with the kids, any games they have up there. We let them try on like the drum major's hat. I teach them a couple baton twirling tricks. We pose for pictures, and we spend basically the whole third quarter up there. So if game days came back this weekend and I got to go up there, that would be like the moment for me that I've missed really a lot, like the most. I've missed that so much.
I love all of these. I love all of your thoughts so much because they just encapsulate what is special about Collegiate Marching Band and about the society, this the special sorority and fraternity of people that have been able to have the positions that you have. So let's go back a second to some of the mechanics of things. So Emily, tell me about the safety protocols that the University of Oklahoma is taking for you. What does a band practice look like to make sure that you're all safe?
So we don't actually march. They usually stay in place and play, and all of us are required to wear masks at all times during the games and during practices. And we have a block where we're set up and we're all separated far apart. And during section bonding time, we're always required to be as far apart as we can be for that too. But really personal responsibility and doing the right thing for everyone else in the band. And we also submit a survey every day and say these are the things that we haven't been in contact with, we haven't had symptoms, we haven't left the state in the last week or anything. So we've been pretty good about staying responsible about being socially distant and everything.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure our college kids are getting it better other than the social party people. So Amanda, what are your Purdue protocols of what you have to do to be safe at band practice?
So as mentioned, everyone is required to wear masks. And because of that, it can be more difficult to breathe. So they've shortened the amount of time that routines are so that it's easier for us to still maintain our stamina, which has been kind of nice and more difficult for me with my asthma. So that's one challenge I've had to try and figure out how to overcome. And then our band, when we do our marching shows, has to be 6 feet apart and so many dots on the field that we use to mark your coordinates apart from each other to allow for social distancing. And then I'm trying to think of the last part of your question, what else we do social distancing? Oh, so this is just like a Purdue thing in general. I don't know if your colleges have this, but there's random selection testing every week. So a certain portion of the entire Purdue campus population gets tested every week. And because I am in both an in-person lab and in a sorority and in the band, I've now been tested 9 times since being on campus, including yesterday. So everyone is frequently tested all the time.
And how long are your results?
So at the beginning, they were struggling on their process of how they were doing it. Now they've got it down to a science. It usually takes about anywhere from 24 to 48 hours to get your results in.
And do you have any brain matter left, like from where?
So they haven't been doing the nose swab test, thank goodness. We just spit into a tube.
The
So
saliva.
you get
So
randomly
that's
selected, yeah.
Illinois started that, I think. So from knowing Illinois band director, I think that, they've been doing a lot of groundbreaking things there. So thank you, Amanda. Kylene, what are the Iowa protocols? What do you all have to do when you get to rehearsal or before rehearsal?
Right. So we have a quiz on our online, we call it Icon, but it's like our online site where all your classes are. So we have to log in every day and take a quiz just saying, do you have any symptoms? Have you been exposed to somebody who has COVID? Do you feel sick? How do you feel? Please answer any additional concerns that you may have. So we have to do that every single day. And then our TAs review them and make sure that everybody's okay to come to band. If there is somebody who has said yes to any of the questions on the survey, usually the TAs will reach out to them and talk to them, but I don't think we've had anybody say yes yet. I mean, we had somebody right at the beginning of band camp who was exposed to COVID, so they had to quarantine, but other than that, I don't know how, we really haven't had any cases in the band. While we're at band, we've been outside pretty much the entire time now that it's gotten colder. We have used our indoor facility a bit more, but we've split our pep bands even smaller. So instead of I and O, it will just be like I, O, W, and A instead of putting them together. But when we're outside, we still wear masks outside. We still try to social distance. And then we have musician masks. So they have a slit in them for where the instrument can go in. And, we encourage people, when you're not wearing your musician's mask, obviously wear another mask over the top of it to cover the hole that's in your mask. And I think, people here are very considerate of that and very COVID conscious. So a lot of people have been really good about following the rules. And like I said, we really haven't had any cases in the band.
Well, I think that it's been, if anything's gotten it right, I do want to say the collegiate band directors around the country. I mean, I was in on a summit basically the beginning of the summer, which was all collegiate band directors, and just the studies that were coming out and how to handle it, and all those things that in the beginning we didn't even think about. We didn't even think about, like, on buses. We normally take 7 buses. It would have taken 28 buses for us to go anywhere, because you couldn't just do front and back seats. You had to do every other. So then we know, okay, we're not traveling. And then water bottles, how do you handle water? And then we find out we couldn't hand water down. So I think it'll be interesting to see the practices that are forever changed. So tell me about, like, these are the things too that people, non-band people, don't get. Like, we have ours wear masks, and like the masks pull down because they don't have the slits are coordinated into the horns up. The clarinets are in bags. There's bell covers. We have wipes for all of the equipment. I've eliminated guard exchanges. So Amanda, what are your protocols that have changed? Do you have, other than masks, like, do you have to wipe down your equipment? What are you doing that is noticeably different that maybe you've adapted to?
So for me, because I'm a solo twirler, I can't do any other partner work with the other twirlers, which has been kind of a bummer, but we've been figuring a way around that. And we were able to do like a whole group section that was socially distanced, which was really cool. But it's really been most difficult for the silver twins because they're not allowed to exchange or do any partner work, and they can't be facing the same direction at any time. And so they've really had to spend a lot of time into choreographing and rethinking their routines so that they're following all the guidelines for Protect Purdue.
Right. And I've gotten to see a lot of the work, and it does look like you guys are figuring it out. And I really appreciate that your media staff has done a great job filming I've loved the shows that you've done in the shell and the ones that you've done in the parking lot. I think you've still really presented Purdue's band belt, because let's face it, all of us have to look at recruitment. Like, we want those numbers in our band and we want recruitment. So Emily, do you feel like your social media presence has been perfectly driven for that specifically, to either, is it showcasing just this year? Or are you forward thinking to recruitment?
Do you mean just my personal social media?
If you know anything about the band as a whole.
Okay. I think that it's been continuous. Over the past couple of years, they've been doing a lot of posts about exactly what we're doing and how we post our shows to YouTube every game that we perform at, so every recording now. But yeah, I think it's been consistent, and it's not just through this year.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like your exposure as a band is going to be as broad as it is during a football season?
Probably not. I don't think that they've changed really how they've done social media, but I also think that it is going to be less exposure than usual.
Okay, so let's talk about your college community as a whole, because none of you are majoring in marching band, like I said. So the feeling on campus, Amanda, how do you feel Purdue is doing from a sense of Purdue community and Purdue pride?
Like I said, thankfully, we're still able to have in-person classes. So something that I've noticed is that more people have been hanging out outside now that it's getting warmer again. In November, which is a little weird, but it's allowed for more people to hang out again outside. So one thing we did this year is the main artery or road through campus between the dorms and where you would take most of your classes was officially shut down as like a road that cars are allowed to use. And so now you'll notice, like, if you walk down campus where we would usually march, it's like a skate park. People always run through there playing games, like playing football all through the main artery. And so there's like tons of people outside playing games or out on the lawn. fun, and it's just really nice to see people up and about and being able to do things socially distanced but still interact. And so for me, like, the campus feel is still alive, and being able to be in a sorority house and still see so many of my friends has been really helpful for me, and like maintaining that positive vibe through online learning.
That's really encouraging. That's really encouraging to hear that that's out there, because I think it would be really easy to think that people are in their apartments and no one's seeing each other, because at least I know my experience walking around campus, it's just so quiet. So Kylene, how is Iowa keeping the pride alive and keeping the social interaction without putting anyone in harm's way?
Yeah, so most of the classes are actually online. There have been a couple people that I've talked to that I know that have an in-person class. I had one in-person class, but that actually was pushed to be online just because we had a spike in numbers for a little while. Just being like, our hospitals and clinics is so huge on campus, and so many students are involved in the hospitals and clinics that, you know, being exposed to like the virus and any other illnesses in the hospital right now have been, you know, that's like very dangerous for students to get together in classes. So a lot of them are actually online. But, you know, when it was warm out, it was interesting to see how many people were out on our like Pentacrest area, which is like our quad or our central area. You know, people were out there. Some Spirit Squad members were stunting because they haven't been able to have practice, or you would see people throwing Frisbees around, or I don't know, just different groups of people sitting socially distanced, but also hanging out outside of classes. You know, a lot of our professors encouraged us to do that with each other outside of class in a very safe way. They helped us make a lot of group chats, mainly on GroupMe, where people can kind of talk to each other and get to know each other a little better and then hang out outside of class. So most of the like schoolwork is online, but we've done a lot of things in person as well, which has been nice.
Okay, and I think it's student driven. So much is student driven. I kind of lamented yesterday. All of a sudden I went, oh my gosh, do you know how many band romances are not happening? Like, I mean, how many of us know, like, everybody met their husband or wife in band? And so I lamented yesterday. I went, oh my gosh, all the missed opportunities of romances that are not out there. So Emily, how is Oklahoma keeping Oklahoma pride alive?
Well, we really don't have that many things in person at all, even outside. So most of our stuff has gone through online, through Zoom activities, and through getting people together online that way. But other than that, we really don't have anything in person at all.
And how do you think a freshman is handling that? How are if you could, are you talking with any freshmen about, like, let's just get through this year? Like, how are they handling that?
Well, I think it's been hard, especially for people who aren't in things like band, just because they don't have any sort of social connection, any sort of group to be a part of, and now that there are no events on campus at all, it's probably a lot harder for them. But for freshmen in band, I think it's been okay, just because they still get to see people and still get to meet up with their band friends most
Well,
days.
it's probably further evidence, like, join the band. Like, if you're gonna go to school and have to be online, at least if you're in the band, you still have a community of people.
Right.
So I know at our university for homecoming, instead we did a car parade. So that was where the band was split up into pep bands, and then cars were kind of sponsored by different things, and they went by and around. Amanda, has there been anything from a special event standpoint on your campus that has just been kind of a different way of figuring things out?
Yeah, so every like other Friday, the band has been able, like before a game or just in general on Friday, to do a little pep band performance. So we split up into groups of 6, go to different parts all over campus, and we'll play like 10 songs for 20 minutes. And kids walking by can just sit and watch and or watch us perform or just enjoy the fight song. And that sort of revives campus a little bit on Friday. And then thankfully, we have an on-campus organization called Protect Purdue, and they have been putting together different events. And one of them is watch parties. So 2 weeks ago at a football game, there was 400 students out on our memorial lawn, and we were able to perform for them with their huge screen that they were watching the football game on, which was all socially distanced. And that was really cool to have an actual like live audience to perform for.
Very cool. I like hearing these things. So Kylene, what's happening at Iowa?
So we've done this thing, and maybe Amanda's done this too with like the Big Ten. I think the Big Ten's been doing it, but a lot of fan cams have been very popular where like Spirit Squad members, band members, really any random fans, especially college student fans they want to see can sign up for certain times throughout game days. And basically it's like a Zoom link they send you, and you can go onto the Zoom link and say like, let's go Hawks, and do a couple cheers. And I don't know, just like show your face and show your support. We've been doing a lot of fan cams for that. We've also had like our virtual halftimes and anything virtual that we put out. The university has been very good about sharing those as well and trying to get people involved that way and watching what we're doing. And I think that kind of brings up the spirit a lot as well. Other than that, you know, a lot of people are very hesitant to try to do like any big social gathering, anything. I know we've thought of like, oh, maybe we could go do a pep band thing right outside Kinnick Stadium on a game day, but you know, we had to kind of watch certain guidelines, so we haven't been able to do that, unfortunately. But, you know, we're still trying to make the most of this year and really get everybody excited for game days and do different things that way.
That's it. I mean, I think it's remarkable. The spirit and the sense of we've got this is just remarkable. Emily, what's happening on Oklahoma's campus to help? Is there anything that you're seeing like for game days? Is there any specific event, or are they just going to play and that's it?
I mostly they're just going to play, but I don't think that we've had as much of those kinds of things. But I have seen a couple of fan cam type of things with Palm and Cheer, but with the band, not so much. Just our recordings and what we do on Thursdays, and then attending the games. But yeah, we don't have a lot of that.
Right. Well, let's back off and get serious for a second because, you know, our hope is that this is this season, that's it. We're moving on after this. And I happen to live in the town where the vaccine is being developed, and we're super pumped and excited that hopefully that's happening. But let's get serious for a second. And you as ambassadors at your university and basically for your town, what are your fears about the behaviors of people that you would like to help adjust or address? Amanda, is there anything in Purdue's community and university that scares you a little bit that you know that if this could be fixed, it would be helpful?
Well, first of all, I am very excited about the vaccine coming out. I think that's super awesome. Um, of course, there is that fear and not knowing with testing behind the vaccine and how many people will actually take it. And like a vaccine can only really be truly effective if it's 95 and above percent if the population has taken it. And so that's just like a worry in the back of my head. Another one is people wearing masks. You know, you're supposed to socially distance and attend things, but like oftentimes people will go to apartments or at fraternities, or they'll have like one guest allowed, and you'll be hanging out in a group, but not everyone's always wearing their mask. And so we've been getting on people a lot for that, and Purdue's been very strict with no exceptions. And so I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there was like a supposed party at the beginning of this year at one of the fraternities, and all of the students that were involved were expelled. And so that sort of set the standard that we are going to be following for this year and next year coming. And I think people are finally starting to accept that wearing masks is now like required, and you should want to do it to protect yourself and protect others.
Okay. And Emily, do you see any behaviors around Oklahoma that you think could be addressed so that they're a little more helpful?
Yeah, I think exactly what Amanda said, and with the mask, everything. I see a lot of people who aren't wearing masks on campus, and it's required on campus. So my hope is that they will get some sort of have consequences for not wearing their mask and on campus, but I don't know how they would enforce that as much. And especially since we don't have a mask mandate in our town or our,
Oh, okay.
so it's been a little bit difficult with that, but my hope is that everyone will continue to wear their mask and stay super diligent about it.
And do you feel comfortable, simply because of your position, being able to say to someone else in the band, come on, guys, we got to do this?
In the band, of course, but
Mhm.
outside of the band, I feel like it could be taken the wrong way or it would look offensive to someone. And
Right,
I would be nervous to say it to anybody who I'm not in a group with.
right, right. And Kylene, same thing. Behaviors in Iowa, what are the things that you would tell your fellow students or are concerns that you would like addressed so that we can get through this?
Yeah, so we do have a mask mandate in this county that the University of Iowa's in. It's in Johnson County, and there's a mandate for any building that you go into, you have to be wearing a mask. And for the most part, a lot of people when they're outside will wear masks even when they're walking around, which is just like an extra safe precaution. When you go into restaurants, you are allowed to take them off, like obviously when you're eating or at your table, but a lot of the restaurants have put up the like the clear screens in between booths, and you can't sit next to a booth. You have to go like every other booth, that kind of thing. A lot of restaurants have also been doing like temperature checks when people come in, just to double check and confirm, that most people who aren't obviously going out to eat don't have COVID. But we have had a couple issues actually, not in the band. The band's been really good about everything actually, but the university in general, with people going out either to, apartments, we're in college, people are going to go out and want to enjoy experiences at bars and at parties and everything. But we had a lot of issues with that, and we had a spike in cases at the beginning of the year. So we actually, the governor in our area actually had a mandate put in place where restaurants couldn't serve alcohol past 10 o'clock. And most restaurants, bars that do that had to pretty much close after that time, because nobody really wanted to go to bars just to sit around and eat food and, that kind of stuff. So we did have that in place for about a month and a half. And the mandate recently ended and the bars opened back up, and a lot of people have been more safe about it. There's obviously still going to be a group of people that go out and maybe don't take those concerns as safely or are as considerate as like other people can be. But there are a lot of people that have been watching that, and like in the band in general, I don't think anybody's been doing that, but there were a couple people at the beginning of the year that maybe did. And, we as a group were like, hey, we need to, we want to have band. We want to be able to have experiences in person. We don't want this stuff taken away and have to do band online. So let's try to, come together as a group and not do these kinds of things. Let's try to be COVID conscious and really follow all the rules that have been going on here.
Well, and I think that that's what band kids do. I want to take a couple minutes because we've got some people in the gallery, and I don't know if anyone has a question or not. I can go forward from here. But Sophia, let me call on you just a second. So you're looking at going to college soon. What are your questions about this season and what they're having to deal with?
Well, I just have a question about being a high school senior. Do you think that many auditions will be virtual this year? Do you think they'll be more in person?
Go ahead, Amanda, what do you think?
I think it's still really up in the air. I know we're still waiting to hear and constantly in communication with different people and don't know what's happening yet. But regardless, like we would hope for it, I would think, to be in person. You'd have to wear a mask, obviously, and things would be socially distanced. I can't say that like 100% certain though, because things are always changing, and we don't know what's going to happen with next semester and going home over the winter break and flu season with everything. So I would hope for it to be in person since they're having band practices in person. But we simply just don't know yet because of everything that's happening with COVID.
And Emily and Kylene are the only twirlers at their university. So say you were going to graduate, Emily, let's speak in hypotheticals. What do you think the audition process would look like for the next feature twirler at the University of Oklahoma?
Personally, I think it would be entirely online. Normally they fly in the people who are auditioning the top 3, but I don't think that if I had graduated, I don't think that would happen this year. I think it would be entirely online.
What are
But
your feelings, Kylene?
So actually, we are holding auditions this year. We're trying something new. The band director and I have talked about it several times, and we finally put it out on social media a couple weeks ago. But we're trying an overlap year. So I'll be doing a 5th year, and we're going to be bringing in a freshman. And so how it will work is that we'll switch off doing pregame so that she can kind of learn and follow that way, and then we'll both be able to do halftime. So I'm super excited for this because it'll almost, usually the Golden Girls stick around after they graduate for a year to kind of help the new Golden Girl, adjust to everything and learn what they have to do on game days. But I'll get to actually kind of shadow her and do things with her. So I'm actually very excited for that. So we are holding auditions in February. And I've talked a lot with my band director about how we're doing them. We would love to do them in person. We're going to do them in person regardless. But in the past, we've done an open audition where, usually the entire band shows up, people from the community come. It's kind of a, a big deal around here. The Golden Girl position is pretty well known. So a lot of people want to come. However, the facility we usually do it in limits the number of people that can be inside in the space that we do it in. So, we've talked about, do we let the band come in? Do we cap the number of people who are allowed to be there in the band and not let the public in? Do we let some people from the public in? How are we going to do this? And we've decided that if like a vaccine comes out and if we're able to, we would like to have as many people there as possible, if possible. Otherwise, if that's not the case, we would think about live streaming it or recording it and then putting it on social media so that everybody who wants to witness it can witness it that way.
Oh, that'd be a good thought. That'd be a good thought too. Yeah, I know, speaking for myself, that I will still do video submissions. And then once those video submissions are in, whoever I grant a personal audition to, I'll go ahead and do a personal audition. I think one thing that I found as a choreographer and designer is that I am fed so much from the dynamics of who I'm with and how my students are responding to what I'm choreographing, that I could do it online, and we did Zoom over the summer and things like that. But the ability to be interesting and dynamic and responsive to what I'm creating with the music versus the performer has changed entirely. And so it's just a whole new skill set. I don't know if it's bad, good, or otherwise. I think that I would still be a choreographer, but to the advantage of being in person, I know I'm spoiled. Like, I just love being with my students so much, and I am fed so much by them and the fun of like what we're creating. When you look at like me being able to be with Troy and he's just like flying around the field and doing anything, like it wouldn't have the same feeling behind a screen. So, I think we're all adjusting to whatever we have to do. It's not optimal and it's not wonderful, but we're all doing it. We're doing whatever we have to do. So it's definitely a growing year in several ways. And then I think we're all just going to wait to see, what can come next. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up here with my last little question for you guys. So Amanda, a freshman is looking at coming into college and trying to decide, do I have the time? Why do you want to do college band?
Well, I think one of the coolest things about our Purdue band is that there's actually no music major at Purdue. So everyone that joins the band joins it because they simply love being a part of it. And it's such a unique culture to be a part of, and to have all these different experiences and immediate family and connections to so many different organizations and clubs on campus. Our school, I want to believe, doesn't drown us in work so that we can have other passions outside of our major, and being able to be involved in so many different clubs and organizations and share our diversity of experiences with other people through our passions, I think is super cool and important to being a student. And the more you get involved, the more you're going to love college and meet the people that come into your life. And so I think it's super important to just put yourself out there for those experiences and know that at Purdue, there's a family waiting for you when you are in the band.
Thank you, Amanda. Emily, you left home. All of you did. All of you wound up going to a different state. Emily, so tell me the best thing about making that decision.
I think that it has helped me grow into who I am today. and helped me to mature, because I was always a mommy's girl and I was always so attached to her that I would always ask her, what should I do? What should I do? And having to be on my own and get away from home has forced me to learn how to do things by myself, which is a very good thing. It's good to learn how to be responsible. So I'm very grateful that I got the opportunity to come out all the way out here and be on my own for once.
And how did band contribute to your growth?
And band has just helped me to figure out what I want to do with myself, I guess. And like, how do I explain? It has helped me to figure out that I want to be a baton coach, and help me figure out how to be a choreographer and how to talk to people and how to make friends and how to interact with people like in a professional setting. It's helped me with so many different things.
It's been fun to watch. It's been fun to watch you grow. It's just that whole intangible that until you do it, you just don't know it. Kylene, tell me about why you would tell any freshman to go for that spot, to go for the Golden Girl spot, or go to any college position they could find.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of incoming freshmen, when they think of joining a marching band or consider trying out, they have this preconceived notion that marching band will take over your entire life and your entire semester. And while it is a bit of a time commitment, it's such a fun one. And it really, we have a lot of leeway, at least here at Iowa, and I feel like a lot of other schools do this as well, where if you have to take a class during the week and it interferes with a rehearsal, you're allowed to miss a little bit of rehearsal on certain days, or the times that we do have rehearsal, it may be a couple hours every day, and maybe an additional few hours if we have a music rehearsal as well. But it's so much fun to be around people that you get to know. It's like you get to meet these new people and they get to become your best friends. And we always say band is family. You really get to meet this like second group of people that becomes your family. It's like a home away from home. So I think that's extremely important, especially if you're coming in, whether you're in state or out of state, but especially if you're coming in from out of state, trying to find your people in your group and people that you feel comfortable with and that you can be yourself with. Band is that for a lot of people, because you get such a diverse group of people who are very inclusive to all different kinds of personalities and backgrounds and different history that everybody's had. I think, I don't know, joining band is the best thing you could do in college, in my personal opinion. So anybody that's thinking about doing it, you should do it, because you really gain so much from it, and it really helps you grow and develop as a person as well.
Well, and don't you find that at least my students have all said they wish they had band all year, because they're busier, they're more efficient with their time. And so
sure.
that is a commonality. The others, you get the best seats at the games, except for like this year. And I think that the diverse group of people that you get to meet in band just exposes you to, especially in a college band, because you have kids that came from a small little band that never competed to bands that have been like at BOA in Indy. And so there's every spectrum of experience. I remember one time walking to the stadium, and one of the sax players is walking along next to me. He's like, I'm so excited. This is like my first halftime. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. It's like the first game of the year. He goes, no. This is like my first halftime. Well, excuse me. I don't know what you mean. He came from a high school that didn't have a marching band. And it was the first time ever marching and playing his horn. And he's going to be right next to the guy who's going to march, Madison Scouts drum corps the next year. So it just is just such a wealth of experience. And I think the common memories, one of the things we said today, and I want to commend all of you, because it would have been easy to say, forget it. Like, I can't do this. School online, I'm going to stay at home. And instead, I really hope we come out of 2020 and go, guess what? I did that. Someday you're going to tell your kids what this was like. And then next year, when you are leaders within your organization, you're going to be able to re-educate the freshmen coming in, but also that sense of martyrdom we talked about, the 12-day rehearsals at 12-hour rehearsals. And you're instead going to be able to go, yeah, I did 2020, so we're fine. We're fine. We will do band camp all day. So I just want to thank you again for joining us tonight. I think that it's been a really unique year, unique situation. You three people are able to represent your universities with pride still, and I think you're doing great things, and just keep showing everyone the way. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. This will be posted later, and keep doing great things. And I hope our football teams are all doing great, but we know we all care about the band. So I don't think we're going to any bowl games this year as band people. So we will hope that the football team rocks it. All right. Thank you everyone. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
All right. Good to see
Thank
you.
you guys. Thank
Bye.
you.